This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. We are looking at a beautiful scene. The sun is not up yet and it is a bit misty here today. My name is Cedric and I have Darren on camera with me this morning. On our side we're going to follow up. I apologize, I can hear some hyenas in the background. So I was saying we're going to follow up on the buffaloes and see if they're around. I see some trucks going next to Rebecca's road, so I think I'm not going to spend too much time here, especially if I hear hyenas there. Might be something happening. I would like to find those buffaloes again this morning, and it would be nice to see them. I know you got a great sighting of them yesterday, but also don't forget to send us your question on #WildEarth on Twitter, @FC on YouTube. And if you're under the age of 18, you can send us an email at kidsquestion@wildearth.tv. You can also register on our website and head to the live safari page to submit your question there. Yeah, so sorry, like when I was talking now, I heard some commotion at the back of us, not very far. So I think on our side, let's start moving actually and see if there's anything happening on Rebecca's road. We're currently on Philemon's cut line. And I saw buffalo trucks going in that direction, so hopefully we can get an exciting morning. We will be reporting also live from Djuma and Pridelands this morning. When it's still early like that in the morning, it can always be interesting and exciting, especially when you start hearing animals calling, because I also heard quite far over some buffaloes doing their sound, so hopefully we can find them around here. So this road is called Rebecca's Road. So what would be nice also if the lions came back on Djuma, I'm not sure, but maybe they decided to follow those buffaloes. Oh, there's a buffalo. Just next to the road there. So we were definitely very close. But that looked like it just a bit at the back of the herd. But I would like to know why. It was quite a nervous call from a hyena. I would like to know also what's happening there. It is very nice in the morning. We can hear lots of birds around. Obviously these buffaloes probably came in that area to spend the night. Like he's walking behind the trees there. I see only two at the moment, so maybe there's a bit more in front. Going to the bathroom early in the morning. So if I remember well, Darren was with Ellie yesterday. Apparently they might have split the herd, I'm not sure. But this is what I heard. But I'm sure there will still be a lot of them together. This looked like a male and the other one at the back as well. So probably we're just lacking a bit behind the herd. You can see the oxpeckers are not out yet. There's no oxpeckers on them yet as far as I can see. because the oxpeckers will leave the animals at night and go sleep in tree cavities and then head out again. Look at that. Beautiful horns there. Very nice. I'm very happy I found them, well, at least two of them. We'll try to find a bit more. So it is clear sky here, a little bit misty. Let's see what is the weather at all our locations.
$17 does feel about right for once. We are admiring how much mist and how much sort of moisture there is in the environment today. All of the spider webs have suddenly appeared, all of them catching the dew droplets out here in the bush. So it's been quite funny. It feels like summer already. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Morgan, and we are out and about on what feels like a boundary patrol. So we've come to Bofosuk cut line area just to see if perhaps we can find tracks for any lions crossing into Djuma this morning. We had that big herd of buffalo yesterday, and we wondered if perhaps that would bring the Talamatis back. The two Kruger males were also out and about, but I think they were seen last night on the Africam, which is the camera or the dam cam at Nkoro. So it seems like they've decided to now leave this area. Even yesterday, I think they pushed way far north than what they actually ever have. So might be interesting in the next couple of months. We might have different things happening with the big pride dynamics. But now back to our little things. What we're looking at is a tropical tent nest spider. And these are very clever spiders that build this funny looking web, and what they are aiming to do is to catch the insects as they fly up, and then they'll catch them at the bottom of the nest. Can't really see where the spider is at the moment, but somewhere in there, and if you pay close attention to the threads, you'll see there are lots of tiny little droplets in there. This morning has been very misty, very unlikely. We're not too sure where all the moisture came from, because yesterday was quite hot and windy, but it gives that eerie look when you start driving and there's just mist everywhere. And then, of course, every time we've gone through a drainage line, which is going a little bit below, then it gets very cold very quickly. But we're going to be leaving our spider web, and we're going to carry on looking for other creatures, other living creatures, because I think the spider is being on the shy side, and perhaps go check around Bofosuk Dam, see if maybe anything crossed in there. Okay, if I can. Okay. All right. That was... Thank you, Rusty. Never a dull moment, is there? Always on our toes.
So we did find the rest of the herd a little bit more west. But this one that we're looking at, it has massive, massive horns. I hope it will look at us again, because you would see how big these horns are. Looks like it's not cooperating. So basically there's a few of them in front of us, there's some of them on our left. So they're a bit everywhere here, so they spend the night here. Last time I saw them yesterday on my side was next to quarantine, and we're not very far at all. You would see some more there sitting still, but lying down. Obviously, it's always special when the buffaloes come back on the property. It can create a lot of activities for us. And this seems very relaxed. So I'm not sure why those hyenas was a bit stressed, but we will still keep an eye and see if we can find anything on them. So with the mist, the lens of the camera can turn a bit misty. I apologize for that. So this is Darren being proactive and cleaning it now. I just really want this big one on the right there to look at us. It's really massive. Okay, we're going to stick with them and see what happened.
Good morning and welcome to WildEarth. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands and started our walk at Leopard Koppie. For the moment, we're enjoying a beautiful sunrise with a slightly misty morning. It seems as if the mist is going to start slowly picking up. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to create an atmosphere around the bush this morning. At least it's nice and cool, which is good for a great start to a walk. So my name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Craig. So our plan is to start from here and work on the ridges while it's still nice and cool. And as it progressively becomes warmer, to head down to the flatter plains areas as well as towards dams to see if there's anybody that's going to come and pop in for a drink. And meanwhile, we're just going to pan straight onto that beautiful sunrise while it's still there. Enjoy. Good morning, Waikisha. Yes, it's incredibly peaceful and it's really good for the soul. There's nothing as great to start the morning with a beautiful sunrise and a big cup of coffee in your hand. For me, it's also lovely to sit and listen at this time of the morning to all the different bird calls. It really has a calming effect on me. Well, we're going to hang around here for slightly longer and just enjoy the sunrise. But let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
So with the herd of buffalo, just trying to show you this one. He have massive horns, but unfortunately it turned around now. But you can see the size. Look at that. I really hope it look at us. When he face us, it's like amazing. Look at that. Probably one of the biggest I've seen. So obviously this is a male. I would love for him to look at us, and it's very nice as well here because the sun is rising behind us and shining on the buffaloes. Unfortunately, we can't really judge the size of it from this angle, but I promise you it is one of the biggest horns I've seen on a buffalo. Very, very impressive. But he's not cooperating too much with us this morning. Yeah, I was saying to Darren, I really want to show the viewers this one with the big horns. Oh, look at that, some interaction there. So while we were sitting here, we also heard some hyenas calling again in the background. So obviously we'll stick with the buffaloes, but if we can hear the sound coming closer, we'll go investigate. Ooh, it can be quite dangerous for the eye there. Must be quite sore. So this looks like two young male. And there's a bigger male coming here. Obviously you always have to be a bit on the lookout when you're with a herd of buffaloes, because if they start running suddenly it might be quite dangerous. They're still looking each other there. Barbara, are you asking how long I think was horns, or if I got it correctly? I'm not sure, but it is very, very, very big. Yeah, the thing is that to measure it is quite difficult because you go all around. But that one would be like one of the biggest I've seen. So I think it would be easier if this one look at us when we can estimate maybe from one side to one side. But you can see there it is. This big loop there, it is very, very big. Maybe when we have a chance to reposition, I will maybe go on the road, very close to the road, and try to get him from the front. I really want to show that to you. But the good thing is that with the angle we have now, the sun is perfect to look at them. So obviously they probably lie down during the night. Now they will start feeding again. As you know, they eat mainly, well, grass. They are grazers. And they will probably start moving, feed, and maybe later go drink some water. I saw some of the videos of the sighting you got with Eli yesterday with them at Kari Dam. It was quite amazing. We're looking at the lilac-breasted roller there. They will do quite the same thing as the drongos, the fork-tailed drongos. They will follow big animals or big herd of animals because all the insect will be disturbed and will start to jump or fly away. So it will be a good opportunity for them to catch them. So this is why you will find a lot of different type of bird around big herd of animal like this one. It is a beautiful bird though. Look a bit wet this morning. I think these two at the back, oh no, they stopped now. I was looking at the two at the back as well, still pushing each other, but looked like they just stopped. It is a beautiful morning. Yeah, definitely going to do my best to go show you the big one at the back. You can see this one has a very big bus. So the bus is the top part of the horn there. It is generally very hard. This is what they use when they fight. So they will hit bus to bus, so it can be quite loud and quite impressive. Oh. Look like there might be one on the termite mount at the back there. But it is quite full. So you can see this one we're looking at, obviously it's a male. You can see in the face as well how big the nose area is. You can see there. That's another good way to look if it's a male or female. You can see it's much bigger than a female. But obviously the easiest way would be to look at the horns. The male have bigger and thicker horns, bigger bus. Look at all the details on the bus area there. So obviously you will have different colors on it because they always rub it on trees like that, and then it quite not damage but create different type of colors on it. Wow, beautiful. Okay, so I think I will do my mission now to try to reposition and show you that big bull from the front. I really want to show that to you.
I have a degree in environmental planning and development. My passion is outdoor classrooms. We are not only grooming the environmentalists of tomorrow, but tomorrow's leaders as well. My long-term goal is for the people of South Africa to learn how to live sustainably, to be able to look after themselves and the environment. So I hope that through environmental education, we are able to get that message to the future generation of South Africa, so that they start now and can continue that good practice in the future. Environmental education is critical so that people can live sustainably in the future. That is my long-term goal.
Being nominated to the top 5 and finally being here, for me it's an achievement. Tracks, I believe I did quite well, and the walk,
and sometimes you often drag their feet forward.
The storytelling as well. So yeah, I think that's where I see my strongest point.
And then that was the opportunity of the scraping.
I say the bedding and the call, definitely for me it was quite a big challenge. Guiding is not all about the award that we have had, but in sharing the experience and continue to do what we have passion and love.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene, rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
So we tried to get it from the front. He was looking at us, but obviously now we decided to not cooperate. But I think we will try to move again and see. Otherwise we will unfortunately let him go. The thing is that he's currently moving towards the herd now, so if he's faced that direction I can't have a view from the other side. Okay, let me reposition quickly. I would be very sad if I can't get you a good shot of this one, because and now it's just behind the tree and I can't really go forward. There's more buffaloes in front of us. But let me see what I can do. Obviously I don't want to disturb them too much. It is not easy now. Yeah, no, it's not the best view at all. There's some buffaloes climbing on a termite mound at the back. Maybe I'm focusing a bit too much on that big one now. WM, you're asking how old can buffalo bull live up to? I think it is about 23 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so generally it is 23 years old. I'll just double check now, and it is right. But obviously it all depends on the condition, because the issue also in some area of the park there's tuberculosis, bovine tuberculosis, so TB, so that can affect as well the lifespan. And there's other factors like predators that they might get killed, obviously. It is quite frustrating for myself now to not get a better view of that animal. So nice to spend time with them. Oh, Hyena. This is what we were hearing earlier on the right-hand side behind the buffaloes that I'm looking there walking. It will walk, I'll probably pop up again. So there's a hyena walking around as well. Let me check if we can have a look of it. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm just checking this one. Actually, is doing something quite funny. Sorry, Darren, making you move everywhere. There's everything happening here. And I can see the hyena again. So this is the big one, but I was trying to show it to you. And the hyena is coming toward us. I will show you now. Look at that. Turn a bit more. Oh, yes, it's coming straight at us on the right-hand side. I might have to reverse a bit. I think we'll be in the opening just at the back here, better view. Sorry, lots of movement at the moment. There it comes. So this is probably the hyena we heard already earlier. I'm not sure which individual, but it looks like the belly is very full. It's going to be a bit difficult now. It's going to walk behind us. Very, very nice start of the day. So I'm just going to reverse a little bit. Sorry, lots of movement this morning. Just trying to do better view. Okay, look like that Hyena went into the block at the back of us. So we'll send you in the meantime to Ali, who's at the dam.
Well, Buffelshoek Dam seems to be the place of wonders. So not incredibly much happening in the dam itself. There is a lone hippo in there, which is nice, because yesterday when we were with the elephants, there was couldn't see a hippo around there. And it's got that bit of a glow in the morning sunlight, which is quite nice. But perhaps a little bit more interesting than the hippo that's just decided to hide away from us is that we actually had tracks for a pride of lions heading in this direction. Now, I think they've carried on walking, so we're going to carry on looking for them just after we finish with our hippo. It's very... I run out of words. I think yesterday got all my words. Now, it's a bit misty around here, a little bit chilly, so I suppose this is why the hippo is hiding in the water and only his eyesights are out. But at this time of the year where it's still, or in a misty morning like this where it would have still been cool enough, it wouldn't have been all too surprising to find the hippo outside of the water, still grazing into the early hours in the morning. And then as the sun starts rising, well, then they start coming back into the water just to protect themselves from the sun. As a matter of fact, when you're doing a bushwalk around or you're coming in close proximity of a waterhole, especially in the winter time, then hippos are another creature to look out for, because sometimes they'll go out and they can feed up to maybe 10 kilometers away from a water source. And then if it gets too hot, or if perhaps they get too much into their feeding bout, they might just stop and lie under the shade of a tree or a bush and then carry on moving towards water later on in the day once it cools down. I think it's very cool, that steam that's coming out of the hippo every time he comes out and gasps for air or pushes his little ears around. I wonder where your friends are. Perhaps they've all moved to Tswalu Dam, and it's quite nice actually to see this dam so full. I think last year I was quite shocked at how little water there was, and after the incredible amount of rain that we had last year, I mean, all of the dams were full, at least to sustain life and hippos once more. I wonder if perhaps this is the same guy that rotates between Gowrie Dam and this one. It's not too far in terms of a hippo life to go from one to the other, especially not if you walk in a straight line. You're gonna open your mouth. It kind of looked like he wanted to open his mouth, didn't it? Maybe yawn and start the morning. I think it's just playing now. They can hold their breaths for about maybe 8 minutes, an adult hippo, so he doesn't need to come up or put his nostrils up every few minutes and just spray some steam or some water like that. I think he's actually just doing it for the show. He knows we're here. Very likely he can hear us and see us. I don't know if he could smell us. I would imagine he can. And he's just letting us know that he knows we're here, just so that we don't try anything funny. Kavishka, hippos spend more time in the water than outside of the water. But having said this, they are very well adapted to walk out on the ground and just outside, because whatever they feed on the grass which they find outside of the water. They don't feed on fish. So they're well adapted to walking. They're actually very fast, and then they can swim very fast as well. Well, swim and bounce off the bottom. Their skin is adapted to a semi-aquatic lifestyle, so they actually cannot spend incredible amounts of times, especially especially in very hot days, because then they dehydrate very quickly and then they could die of it. So while we can find them out in the water and basking by the water's edge more often than not, they couldn't exist, or they couldn't live or thrive in an area where they don't have sufficient water to go into and fully submerge themselves. Not that they always have to submerge themselves. We've seen them in drought periods all amassed in this muddy parts, but their optimal conditions would be something like this, where there's a big dam. They can go in the water, they can submerge themselves if it gets too hot and they want to get away from the heat, and then during the night they come out and then they feed and they graze all around, and then once the sun comes up, or sometimes even before then they return to the water where it's nice and cool for them, so they don't have to worry about the effects of the sunshine or the sunlight in there onto their skin. I think this guy might have been eating until late last night, because he's feeding, or he's sleeping still. While we spend some more time watching this hippo over here, let's have a look at the future expedition in the Masai Mara.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. We're at the moment on top of a little outcrop, and we're just enjoying the beauty of the landscape. At the same time, we're also keeping our eyes open for some animal movement, and we're hoping to find some elephants this morning. I'm going to be dead quiet, and Craig is just going to share the beauty of the landscape with you. Good morning, Megan, and welcome to the show. Yes, Pridelands does have a number of beautiful little spots, and it provides some of the most beautiful sunrises, sunsets, and also views over the Drakensberg Mountains, especially over the Mariepskop section of the Drakensberg Mountains. It also has a number of very impressive dolerite outcrops as well, which I love to go and explore. going to start slowly moving on in the hope of finding some elephants for this morning. But let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
Yeah, welcome back with us. Those buffaloes started to move south now. I tried my best to reposition, but very difficult to get a visual of that big one. And now it's just in front of us on the left-hand side, feeding. So I'm hoping that maybe walk and then look at us. It's behind that tree there. So we saw two more hyenas crossing on the same path, heading towards quarantine. I'm not sure what's happening, but I would like to go check where I heard the call coming from. Maybe there's a kill somewhere in the tree from a leopard or anything. Yeah. Cassandra is just asking how fatal are buffalo fights. It depends. Generally, there's one which is stronger, the other one will run away if he feels that he can't win the fight. So I'm not sure how many times they die. It can happen, obviously, because it can be very violent. But most of the time, I'll look at that. At least a little glimpse. But I don't know if you saw that the size of those horns. Yeah, so most of the time it will not be fatal, but it can happen. We might have a chance to see it again now if we move a little bit forward and look at us. It's amazing. I did a round around him. Every time I was coming, he was turning his head. I think it's facing us now, Darren. And it moved again. There's an opening just in front. Hopefully he will go in there and look at us. Yeah, I didn't see a lot of more hyenas calling. I'm not sure if you can hear that. Yes, I never saw a fight that ended to death. So generally the weaker one will turn and run away. Not much luck with that big bull there. I think on our side, after this segment, we'll maybe leave the herd. It's happening there. And see. So this is obviously two bull. So it's to show some dominance. Yes, I was saying we might leave the area and go check why there's so many hyenas activities around. I'm very sad I was not successful to give you a better view of that big buffalo bull, but maybe later we can find it again and try. Okay, so we're going to see what we do, otherwise we will, if we still stay here, we might move on. So he's still with me. So these two are fighting a little bit. Obviously this is more to learn. They are quite young bulls. And can see there the two boats colliding against each other. It's like everybody's training for the big fight. So the ox pickers arrived. Obviously it's nice and bright and warm now. They look like they're still moving more south. That's a little folk-tailed jungle, two little folk-tailed jungle. There's plenty of them following the buffaloes now. They are very cool birds. You will see them mobbing eagles. So they're tiny and they go irritate big eagles when they fly close to them. Also another fact which is quite interesting is that they can mimic other birds' call. So one time I was hearing a pearl-spotted owlet calling, and I was looking for it, and then I found a drongo making the sound. Yeah, they're not scared at all, those birds. Even chasing much bigger birds away from them. Maybe it's a bit like the honey badger of the birding life. Starting to lose visual of most of them now. We're quite very active, moving south. Well, you're asking how big do buffalo herds get? Oh, it can get to the thousands, huh? It all depends. Generally, in winter, like now, they are bigger than summer. Summer they tend to separate in smaller group, but in winter they join back together and can be in the thousands. Like I think today I didn't see lots, well, all of them because it's quite thick where we are. But I think you had a great look yesterday at the dam. It was about 300 to 400. Darren is confirming there. But it can get, to in the 1,000. Okay, on our side we'll get out of this block and maybe carry on because we're moving down there. In the meantime, we'll send you to JP, who's on a bushwalk.
Good morning and welcome back on Bushwalk. We just had a brief glimpse of a Klipspringer and we just want to see if we can re-establish the visual. So for those of you that are not familiar, what is a Klipspringer? It's an antelope that lives on rocky outcrops and its feet especially adapted to this environment. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to let Craig come in, but he can get a better view for you. It's probably for me one of the most beautiful of antelopes as well. If you have a closer look, you'll notice that it's got tiny little hooves and basically balances on those little hooves. And it's also got a very special adaptation underneath those hooves that prevents it from slipping. And unlike other antelope species where the hoof is sharp to the front, it's actually rounded to the front and tapers sharply towards the back to enable it to run effectively in this type of environment. I reckon there's very few ground predators that can outpace a Klipspringer in an environment like this. And I've actually seen them running up to almost near vertical cliff surfaces. And their balance is almost immaculate in terms of how they can balance on these little outcrops. There's a few other adaptations that they have as well. Their hairs are actually hollow fibers, which enables them to take the impact if they do slip and fall. It's also one of those small antelope species which do occur in pairs, and normally we find that they form pairs with an extended amount of young that might be with them. There we can see how quickly he climbs up onto that rock. That's absolutely amazing how he's balancing there. Just to come back with the pairs, they often have a young with them, and sometimes the previous season's young will be tolerated in the territory and assist with keeping an eye open for predators. They've got very, very good eyesight, and when they do start alarm calling and they produce a nasal-like sound, we almost guaranteed that there's a predator in the area. And generally, if one starts alarming, the other will come straight towards it, and they often stamp their feet as well and stare and keep on alarm calling, telling that potential predator, I've spotted you and you're not going to catch me in this environment. You're wasting your time. Let's just sit and watch and see what he gets up to. One of the things I find particularly interesting about them is a very large gland that's directly underneath the eye. This is known as a preorbital gland, and it gets used for marking the territory. And what's also fascinating about it is that there's a specific species of tick that's learned to associate with that preorbital gland secretion, and it will home in onto it and then climb back onto the Klipspringer to complete its next part of its life. So for those of you that don't know what a Klipspringer is, in Afrikaans it means rock jumper. It literally translates into the word rock jumper because of the animal being so sure-footed on these rocky outcrops. The only predators I've personally experienced catching them over the years has been leopard. And then once we've also noticed that cheetah caught one, and that was in a peak period of a drought where there was absolutely no vegetation on the rocky outcrops for them to feed anymore, and they had to venture into the flat plains area. Yeah, good morning and welcome to the show. And with regards to the comment, it is a very, very unique sighting. I don't think I've ever had Klipspringer Pridelands before, or at any of the other destinations where we film from as a live segment. So for me, it's also a very, very special sighting. So this one over here, this is a male. You can notice that it's got tiny little horns. The females lack horns. However, if you do go to East Africa, you will actually notice that both male and female has horns, and that confused me the last time when I was in the Mara. I was looking at, why is there so many males together? And then it clicked to me that the East African population in both sexes actually there has horns. It's probably one of the most beautiful coats of any of the antelopes as well. I just love that golden color, especially in the early part of this morning with this beautiful soft glow and of light on it.
Hi, we are Yaku and Milani. We are from Gauteng in South Africa. We started watching WildEarth last year during the level 5 lockdown, and we've been watching ever since.
Being in nature is one of the greatest feelings. We absolutely love it. Our favorite thing about WildEarth is that the concept is so amazing. We have the benefit of having a wildlife safari in the comfort of your home, especially when you're not allowed to go out. Being part of the Wildlife Explorer program gives us a sense of giving back and contributing to nature. It just makes us feel good because we love it so much. We are so excited to be visiting Angoma. It is obviously, I think for most people, an absolute dream to visit the Masai Mara. We can't wait to go.
Thank you very much for this amazing prize, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
We got there, he had probably moved a couple of 100 meters down the river and was about 10 meters from this causeway. So I radioed the lodge quickly and just asked them to bring a Land Cruiser around and some tow straps. So we thought we were going to try be heroes and save this giraffe. And now a big bull, probably over a ton. He's a big unit. Got the tow strap one side of the giraffe and managed to get it around him with the boat, and the other edge of the tow strap obviously back onto the bank. So we made this U around him because he was lying quite close to the bank. And we put that Land Cruiser in low range and we just gave it hell and pulled that giraffe, and the tow strap slipped up and we thought, oh no, it's going to slip off the top of the head, and it caught on his ossicones top. And that last 10 meters pulled him out onto the bank, and he battled. He was obviously quite weak and all that.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth. Day.
You see, these are the roads of wonders. There are old leopard tracks. I don't think they're from any time recent, but there's a leopard that's been walking in the direction that we've come from. Now, I'm on Cheetah Cut Line, which would lead us straight all the way down to Chitwa, and I would like to carry on going down this road for a little bit, see if maybe we find any tracks for lions coming out this way, because I suspect that it could be that yesterday those two cougar males that we saw might have come in around Hippo pools and then started incursioning into the area, and then they could have very easily cut across the block and then headed back to Nkoro. It's a distance even for lions, but if they want to have a bigger territory, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually tried the luck. So I'm going to drive a little bit on the slow side, lots of zebra tracks, just to try and make sure that we don't miss anything. Fortunately, I'm not as tall as some of the other guides that work in this area, so I don't really see too much on the front of the bonnet. And this is why I've got my very trusted shuka that I'm using as a cushion to actually be able to see a little bit higher up. I might see something around here, why not? Also, it would be nice if the wild dogs graced us with an appearance. I've had a lot of cats lately. Elite tracks, it depends. It depends on a number of factors and circumstances. So if we've got a very windy day like we've had in the last couple of days, then some of them can be erased, and then you don't really know if they're that recent or not. Then you'll be able to see, for example, if a lion walked on this road, which is very soft, you'd be able to see the tracks, a week from now, provided that no elephants or vehicles drive over the tracks. Then it shouldn't be an issue for you to see them. So they can last a while. The trick is just being able to find those ones that are brand new. And to determine that, I think you can look at a couple of things, but sometimes I think it's practice makes perfect. I remember when I first started learning how to track, I used to find it very difficult to try and age anything, and the difference between a lioness and a male leopard track was impossible to me. I was just like, they look exactly the same. But then with a bit of practice, start seeing the subtle differences. And especially, so those tracks that we were looking at earlier, the lion tracks, which unfortunately we couldn't put in camera, we know we were in that area yesterday morning and we left quite late, and we know that there were two lions around, and we drove all those roads and we didn't see any tracks. Same with the tracks that we found for the rest of the Pride. So they might have come around, so that's a given factor one, that we drove around there and we know those tracks weren't there. And then in addition to that, then the tracks that we had this morning were looking very crisp on the edges. It's almost like if you've ever played with the sand and you build like a sand castle, you know that you can make those very tight edges when you put the sand together. It's kind of the same idea when you go tracking. You see that some tracks are almost like prettier than others and shinier. They're always, you can see with perfect clarity the roundness of the toes or the back pad, provided they step on soft sand or the ground that is not too hard. It's also very cool when they step on. See these beautiful, perfect round tracks. I haven't picked up any tracks coming down here, so I think maybe those went through the block. So there's another road here that just cuts across. So if they carried on coming from where we were in this direction, we should be able to find a track somewhere around here, unless they're still sleeping somewhere in the block. So let's go and have a look in here. Maybe we'll be able to find something. Because also when we were sitting at Buffelshoek Dam, we could hear a lot of the hyenas calling. And this morning, just coming out of camp, we had, was it about 3? Yeah, we had 3 hyenas that came running past us, and then they started making a bit of a racket. And then there was absolute silence when we were trying to find them. And then we've heard them calling now, so I wonder if they're not around that buffalo herd. Seems like Cedric is back with us, so let's head over to him and go bumbling about. Go bumbling about.
Yeah, welcome back with us. We left those buffaloes currently on quarantine. So maybe the hyenas that we saw passing by earlier went in that direction. So we're going to check quickly now. And I think if we find them, very nice, spend some time with them. Otherwise we will head back on Zoe's Road and check around those buffaloes. Because there was a bit of activity there, so I would like to check. Very nice. I apologize, I couldn't get a better shot of that big bull, but this is how it is in the bush, you know, you can't control anything. But it was very nice to see the buffalo. We might go try to get them again later, obviously, or even this afternoon as well. We're driving into the sun now, going east. It's very nice to drive in the sun to look at tracks, because you can see the shadows nicely, so it's easier to pick up tracks. Yeah, we saw one hyena also this morning, actually, when we left camp before the show. On quarantine, walked into that direction. But we tried to follow up on that, but we didn't find it again. So I hope those hyenas will still be there. I'm not sure where they were at the dam. But we'll have a look, we are arriving there now. The problem with hyenas is that they can move quite fast. So anyway, we'll have a look here, hopefully we'll be able to find them again. In the meantime, we'll send you to JP, who's on the bushwalk.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. At the moment we're looking at some tracks over here, and the tracks that we have found is absolutely tiny, tiny, tiny. You can see the hind feet right over here and the front feet right over here. This was made by a very, very small mouse. So when it comes to tracking, if we have to try and separate rats and mice from one another by means of tracks, it becomes impossible. We just simply refer to them as mirrored tracks, and that will be sufficient if you do a tracking assessment as an answer. And then right over here, another track that we have, slightly larger. This beautiful little track belongs to a genet, which is one of my favorite small cat-like creatures. And here you can see tiny little lobes at the back pad over here, and then the tiny little toes. Beautiful symmetrical track. I find these little creatures quite fascinating. They also tame very easily. That's also one of the reasons why the ancient Egyptians used to tame them, among with African wildcat, and they would be let loose in their granaries. Genets were eventually taken by the Romans into southern Europe, where they were used for precisely the same purpose, left in the granaries and at the houses to deal with rats and mice, which was problematic. So one of the other tracks that we have over here, this belongs to a spotted hyena. And here we can see the front foot, and right over here we can see the much smaller hind foot. If this was brown hyena, there would have even be a far greater contrast between the hind foot and the front foot in terms of size. Some of the features that we always look for when it comes to hyena is these kidney-shaped toes. Also these lobes at the back, 2 of them, unlike the typical cats that has 3. And here you can clearly see at the tip of the toes the prominent toenail that doesn't retract, unlike as it does in most cat species, with the exception of cheetah. One of the reasons why the front feet is so incredibly big is because they have to carry the weight of a carcass and to support those heavy forequarters that they have. So while we're looking at tracks of a hyena, let's go and see what the others are up to. It seems as if they've just found a hyena for us.
Yes, after the tracks you can see the animal. So we found them walking on Twin Dam Road. So they're currently highly mobile. Well, not running, but walking quite fast. So I want to keep up with them and see where they goes. It's very nice when they walk on the road. It's obviously easier to follow them. So they're getting a bit far now, so let's get a little bit closer. I'm not sure if it's the same hyena we saw crossing. Yeah, because we saw 3 crossing next to the buffalo. So it's probably them that came on from that side here. And I'm not sure where they are going. Obviously it would be better to have a view from the front, but when you follow them on the road it is quite difficult, because you would have to cross into the block and go in front of them. But now we see them walking. If any of you knows which individual those are, please let me know. I really hope we don't really go into that block there. Let me just catch up and see where they go. It looks like these 2 are still going on the road. Oh no. Looks like they're turning now. It'd be nice if we can stay static for a while, but we can have a nice look. Following hyenas is not the easiest. Not as difficult as wild dog when they run, but it's not super easy as well. I may go a bit in front, maybe we can have a better look. It is quite thick. We're going to cross the... There's a path going down there, animal path, so I think we're following that now. See, going down there. But very nice to see them. Okay, we're going to see if we can keep up with them. If he goes into that block it will be a bit difficult, but let's hope that they will come back close to the road.
Seems like the hyenas know something we don't, because they've been very active and calling all around this morning. So hopefully they'll lead Cedric to the pot of gold under the rainbow. That would be quite nice. We are kind of backtracking ourselves now, because the lion tracks, fortunately the ground on this road is quite hard, not in this patch particularly, but further on. So I'm just wanting to backtrack where we've been because there was also a big herd of elephants that squashed many tracks on the road, just to see if we can gather where this lion actually went, because there are a few options where they could have gone from here, but I suspect they carried on going towards the central parts of Djuma, because there was nothing coming out on Line and then nothing coming out on, I think that's a little portion of Drakensberg. So just want to double check around here, see if we can find where they've went, because the last track I saw was just up here somewhere. So maybe we can just have a look there and determine where this individual has gone off to. Just have a double check, just in case. Can't say that I'm seeing too much though. The thing is, this block down here also is just a massive drainage line after another one, so it's a very complicated place to get into, and I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have signal in there. Come lions, be nice. One of you, any of you. So, a bit of update from our leopard world. Seems like Tavangumi was found yesterday far north in Buffelshoek, and he's a very nice boy. And then one of the landowners also mentioned that Shasha was up there with the kill, quite far north where the signal doesn't reach. But if it's indeed Shasha, it's very nice to hear that he's there. There's a lion track right there.
Unfortunately, we had to leave the hyenas. They went into the riverbed there. They were moving quite fast still. So we decided to carry on and go check Philemon Cut Line and Zoe's Road, not too far from the buffaloes. See if there's anything there. You know, maybe these hyenas was around a kill or something. Jenny, you're asking if I think if the hyenas have a nearby den. I'm not too sure. The last time I saw the den, it was on Gary Main. But apparently they're not using it anymore. I think there was a sighting of Warthogs leaving that den. So they might have a den around because they're always not too far. You can see lots of evidence that the buffaloes was here yesterday actually. But they can travel very long distance at night, so it's difficult to say, but I'm not sure if these hyenas have a den close by. I know there's a den of different hyenas on Sibambili, apparently. I think Ellie went there a couple of days ago. I'm not sure. And yeah, but for the Djuma clan, I'm not 100% sure where's the den. Hopefully it's close by, but they're very active on Djuma. So this was probably yesterday afternoon. All the buffaloes was here, and then we moved to Rebecca's Road there for the night. So on my side, I'm really hoping to find a kill in a tree or something like that with a leopard. That would be very nice. But also I would love to do some birding, and I know that Darren also enjoys birding, so that's very nice because we can learn and enjoy together as well, so that's nice. And at the same time, obviously, show it to you. Talking about birding, it will be very difficult, but I think there was a little orange-breasted bushshrike in that tree there. I can't see it at the moment. But let's try if we can have a look of it. They are a difficult bird to film because they jump everywhere. I will try to do that quickly. I'm not even sure if it's still there. Apologize about the smoke there and dust. Oh, it's at the back there. Oh, you're a little bit too high, so it's basically on the other side of a tree. It's flying away now. Oh, please stay there. Oh no. It is so difficult. Okay, so what happened now, it just flew on a dead tree there and then went into the little drainage line. So it was, as far as I could see, orange-breasted bushshrike, but I didn't get a great visual of it, so it might have been a grey-headed bushshrike as well. Oh, there it is. Do you see it? It's on the ground just behind the log at the back. So if you film on the log, it might pop up and fly. Birding is not easy. They are so fast. So you see the dead tree on the floor. I saw it moved at the back of that. So let's wait 2 minutes here and see if we can see it again. It is a beautiful bird, so it will be very nice to show it to you. Yeah, so basically where it is, do you see there's a branch going down on the floor there. It's between that little gap that I can see it jumping. Yeah, I think this is what you're filming, maybe a little bit more right. It's a grey-headed bushshrike. I just heard it call now. Oh, come on. It'd be great if we can just jump on that. At the back there, you see? There we go. Well done. A grey-headed bushshrike. Yeah, so this is always very quick with them. So we're very close to a little river in here, so this is why there's so many birds. But now I will stay quiet, maybe it will call. I hope you guys heard that, so that was the call. So this is very nice because you had a quick visual of the bird, but you heard the bird as well, so it's quite nice. Not sure if you can hear, but there's also a woodpecker in the tree and calling also at the back. Lots of birds here. I'm just trying to relocate one of those woodpeckers or even the grey-headed bushshrike again, but looks like the grey-headed bushshrike left. You can still hear it, but we can't see it.
You can hear it behind me now.
Where there?
I can't see it, but it's behind us.
I don't know if you can hear the woodpecker hitting the trees at the back, well, in front of us as well. There's also a squirrel alarm calling, so plenty of noise here. Maybe what we can do is go a little bit forward. There's the little passage where the drainage ran. Maybe we can have a look there. This is also exactly where we got a very quick glimpse of a genet yesterday, but we couldn't show it to you because it moved off. Okay, so we will try to see what bird we can find here. In the meantime, we'll send you to JP on the bushwalk.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. A few moments ago, we were looking at the tracks of genets as well as some rodents. And we were discussing how the ancient Romans as well as Egyptians used to use genets for capturing mice and rats inside their granaries. However, in Africa, we had another strategy to deal with mice and rats. And this is with this grass that we see in front of us. It's known as turpentine grass. And it's quite an unpalatable grass with a very high oil content on it. And it's probably one of the last grasses animals will really resort to eating. That's also the reason why it's still standing. And how this was utilized was by simply taking these grasses and lining the grain baskets with these grasses to prevent the rats and mice from eating through there. So when we come to grasses, they form a very important part of the ecosystem, and they range in terms of their palatability. Some grass species are incredibly palatable and wants to be utilized, and therefore by being incredibly palatable, they will attract grazers who will constantly be feeding on them. We also find that a lot of the animals are also responsible indirectly for the distribution of the grass seeds as well, as they will ingest these as they feed. However, it's interesting that grasses, when it comes to pollination, is entirely dependent on wind, unlike most other plant species which are dependent on wind as well as insects and a number of other animals to assist with pollination. Well, we're going to move on and see what else we can go and find.
Calling all WildEarth explorers, we have a new and frankly awesome travel prize for you to win. andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve encompasses an impressive 28,000 hectares of protected wildlife land in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. As you have seen on WildEarth, andBeyond Phinda showcases one of the continent's finest game viewing experiences and is well known for close-up sightings of the elegant yet elusive cheetah, as well as the rare black rhino. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 16th of September, and you and a friend could be heading to the magnificent Phinda Mountain Lodge, where you will spend 3 nights escaping the real world at this ultimate safari location. WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
The scrap here collected a dry grass, put it next to the water hole as the hippo walks down during the warm of the day to drink the water. When the hippo arrives, he saw quite a very nice grass, an area not to resist to rest. And when the hippo went down to drink the water, and when he finished the water, he just lied down on the grass. And then,
that was the opportunity of the scrappy.
You know what? Today is my day to pay the revenge.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with the cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So driving on Philemon Cat is very nice because it's big and open. We often see the wildebeest here. We saw them yesterday. But I wanted to check here just to check if the buffalo might have crossed here. But no sign of them yet. So they're probably still in the block or moved west towards Zoe's Road. There's some buffalo down here, but that is old. Yeah, so yesterday there was leopard tracks on Zoe's Road. We didn't find any leopards though, but always good to check that road. Yeah, it is my last day today, so I will do this drive obviously and the afternoon drive. So I really hope to find some great sighting to show you on my last day. We did start very well this morning, but also I will do some birding if I can find any interesting birds. Okay, so we're going to continue Zoe's Road, see if there's anything there. In the meantime, we'll send you to Ali, who's also on the bumble.
Well, I think we're on a forced bumble because our tracking mission just came to an end. Unfortunately, we came back and we found the tracks once more for, seems like just one male lion. So I wonder if it's not dark mane that was around here somewhere. But then they go into the block sort of just south of Hippo pools in that area. And it's quite a big block and it's got a few drainage lines in there. So I don't think we're going to be able to follow anything in there. I did go walking in there for a bit, but it's a little bit impossible. And then to try even get a vehicle in there, it's going to be even worse. That is if we found him. But there's another road where he might have popped up if he carried on walking, because I think these tracks are not, from too early last night. And I want to go check down there, see if maybe he pops up. And funny enough, it's sort of the direction where the hyenas were calling earlier, but we thought Cedric was with the buffalo herd then, so we kind of left it. But we're gonna slowly move in there, just see what's happening. Perhaps there's nothing happening, perhaps there's something happening. Okay, no, that is not what I'm looking for. Sorry, just paying attention to the radio as well, just to see who's out and what's happening today. But I think maybe we're gonna head in towards the central parts of Djuma. Maybe that's where the magic is happening. Maybe we'll be able to find something in there. There's plenty of things to look at. I would like to sort of make our way a little bit later on to see if we can broadcast from that hyena den on Simambili, because I know we wanted to head there yesterday afternoon, but I find that dens are not as productive early afternoon. And so we went with the buffalo, and then the herd just surprised us. So we kind of took the opportunity that we had, and the good thing is that the den will stay there. So we'll take our chances this opportunity. So maybe that's our plan, Morgan. Let's go into the central parts of Djuma, scratch around there for anything that might be in there, see if we can come across any tracks, and if not, then we can start making our way to Simbambala, see if there are any any hyena cubs in there that we can view. Sounds great, says Morgan. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page here. Would be a bit of a problem. Seems like Cedric has come across some tracks, so let's head over to him and find out what they are.
Yeah, we are on Zoe's Road now, just still driving around. Lots of hyena tracks on the road. But I think it might be the hyenas we saw earlier coming to the buffaloes. But I check around if there was any sign of anything while they were did this nervous call earlier, but I can't see anything, unfortunately. Yeah, so I think our plan would be maybe to go east after. I got the question, I think, from Zoe, if I know what does the hyena mainly prey on. Yeah, they on any antelopes, but they really like to hunt impalas. So they're obviously more scavengers, but they are very good hunters as well. So they will eat actually quite everything, any type of meat that we can find. But often we see them with impalas because they often steal a kill from a leopard, and leopards really like to kill impalas, but it can really be any type of antelope. So some people think that they are only scavengers, but no, they can hunt very well, especially in some part of Africa where there are very big groups, clans up to 50 individuals. They are very, very good hunters. So they will hunt quite similar to the wild dogs, so they will run behind the prey until the prey get tired and then catch them. But the wild dogs are obviously much more successful than them. I'm just going to stop there. There's some impalas at the back, but also there's a beautiful tree there. It is a very, very nice tree called a torchwood. I really like the bark of this tree, and every time we drove here, well, on my side I drove here, I would love to see a leopard in that tree. And at the back also there's some impala grazing at the moment. So when it's very hot, like we're hoping to see a leopard lying there, and then we can just stay here and maybe park in the shade and just look at the impala feeding on the tree. But obviously this is a big dream. It is a beautiful tree. Okay, so I was thinking now what to do, but I think we're going to try Mondaz's Road, see if there's anything happening there, and then we maybe head towards Twin Dam. Check Gary Main if there's anything crossed into Djuma. Okay, so while we make our way to Twin Dam, let's have a look at that great expedition coming in 2022 in the Masai Mara.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We made our way down towards Leopard Dam to see if there's any activity of animals that might come in to come and drink. We also just wanted to walk the dam circumference to see if there's any tracks coming in and out from the dam, which is worthwhile following. We've noticed that there is 2 Egyptian geese here this morning. However, no signs of the chicks. But I'm convinced that it's not the same pair that had the chicks. If we also look at the birds, one is on top of a nest of a red-billed buffalo weaver, and it's very possible that they're going to try and nest up there, as a previous pair also nested on top of a nest of a red-billed buffalo weaver. A few weeks ago, we also had a very interesting sighting at one of the other dams where a African harrier hawk came in and actually fed on one of the eggs. The adults have very successfully chased him away. It was interesting as the one adult goose actually took the egg that was consumed and dumped it elsewhere away from the nest. I'm not sure if the harrier hawk was after the yolk and was on the inside, or if there was actually an embryo inside that egg that it was predated on. We're just going to sit and watch them a little bit longer and see what they get up to. As while we are on the topic of African harrier hawk, there was one that was seen yesterday by Cedric. I find them absolutely fascinating. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're often frequent in gardens as well as in rest camps, and so they're often very accessible in terms of being found. And what you'll notice is that they will often hang upside down, and that they are actually double jointed, and they can push for one foot in totally different direction than to the other, which makes it very easy to extract a chick from out of a nest or to steal an egg. They also go for small little rodents as well as squirrels. I've seen them very successfully hunting squirrels in the past as well, taking young squirrels out of the cavities inside trees. Coming back to the Egyptian geese, for those of you that have joined us for the first time, the name Egyptian goose comes from the fact that they used to occur in the Nile. We often find that they're illustrated on hieroglyphics. They're also found entombed in large numbers, absolutely in thousands, and they were placed inside the tombs of pharaohs so that they could be hunted in the afterlife. So they were basically food provisioning for the person that was buried inside that tomb. We also found that quite often many of the animals and birds that were entombed also had a tiny little food particle placed inside their mouth, which was there to fuel their journey into the afterlife as well. Well, we're going to hang around here a little bit longer and then see what happens. Hopefully somebody will pop in the next few minutes to come and have a drink.
Yeah, welcome back. Very sorry about that little technical issue on the other side there. As you know, we're reporting live from the African bush, so it is sometimes a bit tricky. So, yeah, I'm driving now on Mondosas Road, trying to see if I can find anything. Any sign of any animals at the moment. It's getting quite warm actually this morning. But we're still looking around. Maybe when it gets a bit warmer, we might go check the dam. So this is what we're going to do now. Check here and then go on Gary Main and move east towards Twin Dam and see if there's anything there. It is a nice road here. I saw Tavangumi in the past, very close to here, but now I've heard he's on Buffelshoek. Okay, we're going to continue here and see if we can find anything.
Seems like no luck with the lion this morning, which I'm a little bit sad about. But maybe later on today. I mean, I do see that the roads are covered in buffalo tracks, so there's still a possibility of them coming around here. So considering what time of the morning it is, we're slowly going to start making our way towards the north and then the west to see if we can have a look at that hyena den, which would be quite lovely, but it's still going to take us a long time to get there. So we'll take our chances, see if maybe we can come across, what is that? No, that's a hyena track. Hyenas. They're adding a lot to the confusion of the day, because when we had them running this morning, we thought perhaps something was killed because they were vocalizing, running, but not the hyena trot that is sort of like, oh, you know, there might be something there. This was a full-on run. And then they carried on calling throughout the morning, so we thought maybe there was something there whereby Cedric was, and I think he had a few of them on camera, but I'm not sure where this buffalo herd went to. I saw two males sort of going at one another with their bosses. Let's see what's happening on this radio. I don't know what's happened. Maybe I did well. I imagine the voices. They were there. These were not the voices in my head. Not sure what's happening now. And find out what's happening on the radio, but we'll send you guys across to Cedric in the meantime. Maybe he can let us know where the buffalo are.
Yeah, I left
Yeah, welcome back. We were sorry about that. We don't have much to offer you now at the moment on our side, so we're driving and still looking. Oh, let's try to do that. It might be very difficult. There's a white-crested helmet shrike flying on the left there. Do you see it? On the tree, just there. There? At the back. I just want to show you that bird. On top of that little tree, straight in front of you, where you're looking. Just right, maybe? No, the second one. Yeah, so if you zoom right there, go a little bit up, go up a bit. A little bit up, more up, on top of that tree. A little bit more up. Oh, there it goes. No, that's okay. Yeah, it's quite difficult sometimes with the birds. It's still around. Let me just try to reverse. I just want to try to show you them because they are beautiful and have beautiful eyes, yellow eyes. But they jump around, so it is quite difficult. Oh. We're trying our best to... There's one there. Okay, so they live in groups, in flocks, so they move about quite a lot. Looks like everything is hiding from us today. Yeah, there's some more in the open on the right-hand side. There we go. Look at the yellow on those eyes. White-crested helmet shrike. Look at that. Oh, but they are so tricky because they move all the time. At least we managed to give you... Oh, there we go. Just going to put my handbrake on. I'm happy that we can show it to you. They are beautiful little birds. And a few times, unfortunately, when they see their reflection, they might start hitting on the window or on a car window. So they're obviously quite aggressive. If they see their reflection, they think it's another but it happened quite a lot where I live. So I have to chase them away before they get injured. We are very lucky now that this one is standing still for that long. Anita, you're seeing a stunning bird. Yes, they are very, very pretty. And those eyes are really, really bright yellow in color. It's very nice. I totally agree with you. This is why I was trying to show it to you. And now we're being rewarded as this one is standing still. So there's two types of helmet track that we found here. So there's this one, which is the white-crested helmet track, and then there's the red's helmet track, which is completely different. Yeah, I will show it to you after, but let's enjoy maybe for now this bird, which is very nice to us now. So they will eat insects, even up to small lizards, and they're normally in groups. So this one I see more often than the other helmet track. They're quite common here, the white-crested helmet track. The red helmet track, you can see them, but it's a little bit more rare. Well, this is my opinion and my experience that I got with those birds. Actually, it is very nice because on the same page I am now, there's also the grey-headed bushshrike that we saw earlier, so I will be able to show it to you as well. I just don't have a little stick, unfortunately. Okay, let me show you quickly. So I apologize, I had to find something to show it to you. So now we're currently looking at the white-crested helmet track, which is this one. As you can see, the bright yellow eyes, and just there you will find the red helmet track, which have bright red eye, and obviously they look completely different. What we looked earlier, it's quite nice, it's on the same page, it's a grey-headed bushshrike. So the reason why I said first it might be an orange-breasted bushshrike, because this is the orange-breasted bushshrike there. It's basically almost the same, it's just that the grey-headed bushshrike is bigger, and also it's more pronounced grey part on top of the head there. So this is basically the bird we looked at earlier, and we currently was watching this one. Beautiful birds. Okay, I don't know if that bird is still there. I think we're going to carry on and go check Gary Main if there's anything there. So yeah, I got a comment there from FC, but I got unfortunately a bad communication. I'm sure they will send it back to me. Yeah. Yeah, so Darren told me, Kamakizi, you're saying that bird is beautiful and gorgeous. Yes, it is very, very nice bird. I tried a few times in the past. I remember me and Darren trying to get it on camera to show you. but it was difficult. That was quite nice to see. I think now we're going to go check Gary Main and see if there's anything happening that side, any trucks that cross into Djuma or went out of Djuma. Okay, so wish us luck, and hopefully we found something to you for spend some time with until the end of the show.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
It's day one of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition, and our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time. Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
Either Franklin or guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks. The details is very important.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We decided to come and actually have a look at the nest that fell off from the top of the old red buffalo weaver nest. And this belongs to the Egyptian geese, which was nesting at the dam. We didn't want to come over here while the chicks were here because we didn't want to unnecessarily disturb them. There's a large amount of down feathers that we see, and down plays an important role when it comes to insulating the nest. I also find quite interesting is that feathers on most birds are actually a hindrance when it comes to incubating eggs. And quite often females will pluck out the feathers from their chest to expose an area which is known as a brood patch, so that that brood patch can effectively heat up the eggs and assist with the incubation. In some bird species, we find that actually they incubate the eggs by means of their feet, and that's true for gannets as well as penguins and a number of species of birds such as boobies that will use their feet and don't have a brood patch on the chest. Bird species like cuckoos, they also lack brood patches because they get somebody else to do the brooding for them by dumping their eggs inside the nest. It's also interesting with Egyptian geese, they also dump their eggs quite often in other Egyptian geese nest. And we also find that bird species such as makoa ducks will often dump their eggs too in the nest of Egyptian geese. So this nest was structured well up in a tree, probably some 10 meters off the ground, and provided protection against potential predators that can climb up there. In most cases this will work. However, there's in the last few years footage of honey badgers climbing up onto almost near vertical trees that are several meters high and actually taking raptor chicks as well as adults out of trees. To come back to the Egyptian goose nest, we just also want to show you some of the old egg fragments, which is over there on the side. So when they lay eggs, they generally lay up to anywhere between 1 and 22 eggs that might be produced. So the strategy is to have a large amount of eggs, a large amount of chicks, and only a small number of those will successfully be raised. In this case, I still wonder what has happened to our Egyptian geese. As there was 9 in the start, 8 eventually over a few months that we saw them here, and then they just disappeared. I really hope that they didn't get eaten and that they have the opportunity of growing up. So, of the other things I find particularly interesting about Egyptian geese is that once they've laid the eggs, they will wait till the last egg is laid before incubation takes place. And then approximately some 28 days to 30 days later, those chicks will hatch. One of the things that we will see once that the chicks have hatched is that the adults will fly down and the female will start calling these chicks, and they'll jump down to the ground and follow her straight to water and never returning. When it comes to birds and the building of nests, ducks don't generally use a lot of time and energy producing a nest. They simply use a nest platform of somebody else. Or he'll use a hollow in the ground with a limited amount of feathers and material just to line the nest. One of the other things I find particularly interesting about the Egyptian geese is that the female is the only one that does all the incubation. And for that whole almost 1 month period, she's got a limited amount of breaks that she can have to go and feed. And that normally equates to some 30 minutes per day that she will spend feeding. While the male will be on the lookout for other potential predators, she's always focused on making sure that they stay warm enough, that the eggs stay warm enough to incubate.
So welcome back with us. We're currently with some kudus feeding there. Hopefully they will come out in an open area. It sounds like every time we have an animal this morning, it's tend to hide. There's a very young one also at the back. I'm hoping that that young one also will come out to can have a better look. So what I see now, there's 3 female, 1 young, which I'm not sure if it's a male or female, and a very young male as well in the bushes with very tiny horns. But looks like he started to feed and moving around. I don't see any big male around. There's the young one, a young male with short horns. So yesterday we were looking at some nyalas, and now we can see some kudus. I hope you will be able to differentiate, but with time it becomes very easy, obviously, to see the difference. This is a very young male. So when we get older, they will start forming some bachelor herd, and then also fight for the females. There's the young one. Very cute. So kudus are very athletic. They can jump up to 3 meters high from a standstill. They have very long legs. This little one is very cute. It looks like all of them are walking away from us now. So change of plan on our side. After those kudus, we will, there's one running nicely there, we will go check Treehouse Dam before Twin Dam. Okay, they are actually crossing the road where we want to
woken up now that it's warm. I wonder if we consider them as reptiles. Don't know what I imagine them as, but maybe today we can think of them as little reptiles. So we are on our way to Simambili just to try and see if maybe we get lucky with that hyena den this morning. Hopefully we will, and if not, then well, you know, we can just always carry on trying. We just need to establish if we can actually have a sighting from there or not. I'm kind of hoping we will, because it's a pretty den as we saw yesterday, but yesterday was just the tip of the ear of the one hyena showing from the den, and I suspect that she was the mother, or she is the mother of the reported 2 cubs that are there. And it would be interesting because this would be a different hyena clan, so it's not the Djuma hyena clan that we've been following for so long. It's actually potentially the EP one. So we are slowly making our way into the general direction. Our lion search derailed us a bit, and we ended up quite far away. So we are now on the main road heading towards the gate, and then we'll head down in that direction. I was hoping we would bump into, I don't know, maybe tortoise span or see tracks for another male leopard somewhere in this area. But it seems like nothing for now. Feels like this is going to be one of those days where it's also going to get quite hot very quickly. And it's been strange because it's been very hot, but then the wind is still very nice and cool. Right, seems like Cedric managed to fight the gremlins off and stick with his Kudu, so we're going to send you guys back across to him.
Yeah, I apologize for that. We had to leave the area. The signal was not great. So I think we're moving towards Treehouse Dam now. Yes, so for that question, I'm not sure if it went through. The eland will be the biggest antelope occurring around here, but it's very rare to see them. Kudus is one of my favorite antelope. I really like them, especially the big male kudus with beautiful horns. Their horns can reach up to 1.8 meters. This was the record that they got in the past, but in general it's an average of 1.2 meters. Yeah, hopefully there will be something interesting at Treehouse Dam. Maybe the pied kingfisher is there. You can see it a bit fly and try to catch some fish. I see evidence of buffalo here, but it's quite old. So I think these buffaloes are still in the block there. We might check again later if they crossed to come towards Treehouse Dam. That would be nice to see them drink, actually. I didn't saw any sign of leopard yet, no tracks, no alarm calls around, but you never know. Huh? You might get to the dam and there's one drinking, or there's a lion lying there. One thing about the bush is also obviously to know the sign and follow the tracks, but sometimes you have to be at the right place at the right time. And more importantly, also look at the right place at the right time. We're not far now. I can see the dam from where we are. Look quite quiet, unfortunately, but I think we're going to stop there and see if there's any birds. It is amazing how quicker it's getting warm in the morning compared to like a week ago. And the water level is starting to get quite low. We'll just go up and we can see the other side as well. There we go, just arrived. And not much happening here. Maybe we can sit here a little bit and have a look if there's anything coming to drink. I'm also going to keep an eye for that bad kingfisher. So Ailey got a very nice sighting of 2 honey badgers yesterday, and where we are now, this is exactly where we got a sighting a while back, myself and Darby, of a honey badger coming to drink. It was actually roughly this time of the day. Can't even see one bird around the dam. That's quite sad. So obviously when it rains, you can see at the back there the water will come from that direction, through that little drainage line there to fill up the dam. And you can see that the water level is starting to get quite low. There's still a lot of water, but it's getting quite low at the moment. So hopefully the rain will arrive soon to fill up the dam. Okay, so we're going to move on our side. In the meantime, we'll send you to JP on Pridelands to have something interesting.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We really did find something interesting at the moment, and that's the remains of a leopard tortoise, which is one of the 2 species of tortoise that we have in this area. If you want to separate them from a similar looking serrated hinge tortoise, apologies there, just to come back to that leopard tortoise. This is much more dome shaped compared to the specs hinge tortoise that we have in this area. So we also will notice that the shell is actually quite round in comparison to the boxy appearance of the other species. So a few other things that's quite interesting. We don't know what can happen to him, but we can notice that the number of the scales are over here. If we have a closer look over here, we'll see that there's tiny little ridges between these little areas. It forms like a little valley almost, and these generally indicate a growth here in the tortoise's life. Tortoises can get quite old. They can get up to just over 100+ years in age, some species. With the leopard tortoise that we have over here, it's one of our largest tortoise species in South Africa. These guys can get up to some 40 kilograms in weight. However, that varies of distribution, and they tend to be much larger in the Eastern Cape region compared to over here. If we do turn him around, we can have a quick look over here, and we'll notice that there's like an indentation over here, which is typical of a male, and this enables him to get a little bit closer to the female when it comes to mating. With the female, this is all flat in that section. We also generally can see that males have got slightly longer tails compared to females. A few weeks ago, we also found a very interesting sighting, is where we actually found a nest of a tortoise that was dug up by honey badgers, who then consumed those eggs. There's a number of other predators out here that will feed on them, and over the years I've seen honey badgers feeding on tortoises. I've also often seen hyenas picking them up, as well as lion that will bite onto them. They'll often just pick them up, manhandle them a little bit, and then leave them behind. We also sometimes find that crows have learned to actually exploit these little animals in terms of killing them by simply picking them up and then dropping them from a great height so that their shells can crack and that they can more easily get into the inside where the food is that they want to get hold of. For those of you that are wondering what is the differences between tortoises, terrapins and turtles, as we often use those different terms, a tortoise is generally a land-dwelling shield reptile. If we look at terrapins, they're generally encountered in fresh water, and the ones that we do have in this area is a serrated hinge terrapin as well as marsh terrapin. And then lastly, turtles are those that occur in the ocean. I'm just going to turn him around again, and I just want to point out his feet over here. You'll notice that they've got tiny little clawed feet, unlike that of terrapins, which has got clawed as well as webbed feet, which assist to propel them through the water. And lastly, turtles, they actually have flippers. And turtles cannot pull back their head or their feet into their shell, unlike terrapins and tortoises, to protect themselves against potential predators. Well, we're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find.
Yeah, so we're still sitting at Treehouse Dam actually, looking for some birds. There was a few swallows around, and we got a quick sighting of another bird that I'm trying to confirm the ID. But for the moment we're just sitting here and enjoy, so I'm going to stay quiet and let you enjoy the surrounding. It is very quiet here. Just trying to see if that bird we saw can be in this area during that time of the year. So I will make a little research on that now. Yeah, we're still sitting at Treehouse Dam. The reason why we're trying to relocate another bird that was there, don't think it is this one. No, that will be a Cape Turtle Dove. So we saw a bird that might be a greater oniguide. So the greater oniguide is a beautiful bird, and it's not easy to see them, but I'm not sure if they are migrators or not. So I'm trying to see if we identified that bird properly. So what I could find is that apparently they don't migrate, so we might have some oniguide. I will show you. It was on that tree that Darren is filming there. So there's our pied kingfisher. There we go. Well done, Darren. I'll spend a bit of time with that pied kingfisher, and afterward I will show you in the book how does the greater onigite look? Because when I saw it, it popped directly in my head, greater onigite. Well, onigite and then greater onigite. But generally your first intuition is the good one. So, but I did double check. But that pied kingfisher is beautiful. Would love to see it catch a fish. It would be very nice to see. Looks like he's not interested in fishing yet. Just cleaning himself. And you're asking if pied kingfish are migratory? No, I don't think so. They will stay around the water all that they live around and stay around here. I would have to double check on that, but I'm pretty sure of my answer. For all the migration, sometimes it gets a bit difficult to know all of them. Obviously, the common species such as the woodland kingfisher, we know that they migrate and come back. Well, I know. But there's some species I'm still struggling to be 100% sure if they migrate or not. But I'm pretty sure the pied kingfisher will not migrate. Okay, so I'm going to send you to Ali now with Simbambili. When we come back here, I will show you a picture of the greater onigite.
Well, we have mixed news, so success, because we can actually broadcast from here, and you guys are seeing at the new den right there. And then just as we saw yesterday, it's in that hole in the middle of the den where the hyena, where we saw the adult, and it's reportedly where the little ones are. Sadly though, we can't see any adults around here, so if the little ones are quite small, quite young still, as it's reported to be, they wouldn't be outside if the parents are not here, or if there's not an adult here. So we obviously didn't know that there were no adults before we got to the den, but we also wanted to try and check if we could actually come to this area and then try to have sightings from here, because obviously we depend a lot on the signal. But it seems like we've had a successful exercise in the terms of establishing that we can actually broadcast from this spot. So yay, lucky us. But I mean, today the hyenas are not here, so, or right now they're not here. So we're not going to stick around here because, you know, it's a sensitive sighting. There are little ones in there and the parents are not here, and we're probably then gonna make our way back towards Djuma, perhaps via One Eye Pan, which is a sneaky dam that is just off the boundary of the main road that tends to pull a lot of animals through from that area. And then hopefully we'll be able to, I don't know, Tortoise Pan would be nice. Today it feels like a male leopard kind of day. So that would be really lovely, but I'm very excited that we actually can broadcast from here and that you guys can see us, because then that means we might be able to get to know the logistics, well, not the logistics, the dynamics of a new clan of hyenas, which would be really cool. So fingers crossed, we'll try again this afternoon. Perhaps when it gets a little bit cooler, they'll be around. It could be that the parents or that there's an adult sleeping somewhere around here, but again, we don't want to go bundu bashing all around this area. We know that the female was there. We saw her yesterday. And it could also be that she's out and about just looking for food and foraging herself, perhaps coming back from her bout. But at some stage, she'll be back to feed the little ones. and we will be here. So very happy that FC allowed us a chance to come and then try our luck. But now we're gonna love and leave this den and send you guys over to Cedric, who's still at the waterhole, and we'll go back to Djuma and hopefully find something else on our way there.
Let's welcome back with us. We're looking at a sandpiper, which on my side I'm still struggling to ID. So if any of you know which bird is this, please let me know. It would be nice to learn something from you guys. It might be a common sandpiper. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, and there's a three-banded plover just in front of it as well. So the small bird will be a three-banded plover from what I can see on the monitor there. So when we arrived, these birds was not here, so it's quite nice now that some activity at the dam. Very nice to spend time at a dam like that and wait for the animals to come. There's an Impala drinking at the moment at the back of a dam. Just sneaked on us because I was looking at the monitor trying to figure out that bird there, and then I look up and this Impala was drinking. Very peaceful here. Okay, I think we're going to move on our side. Since it's quite quiet here, maybe try to find the buffaloes again. In the meantime, we'll send you to Ali, who found a tall animal on Sibambili.
We do. We seem to have the smallest one, or the smallest antelope we get in this area, which is the steenbok that you're looking at. Oh, okay. He's been camera shy, and then we've got the tallest animal that we've got around this area, which is a giraffe, or a South African giraffe, if we really want to get technical about it. It's doing something quite funny. So giraffes will always surprise you in the sense that there are many trees around this area, and they could be feeding at a height that is a little bit more comfortable, but it seems like this female has now decided to actually feed on the lower branches. And I was reading about giraffe not too long ago, and there's all sorts of intellectual dilemmas as to why they have such a long neck, why they've evolved to have a neck that allows them to feed higher up than the rest of the creatures. Is it really necessary? Because a lot of the times you see them feeding like this. Then there was an interesting hypothesis as well that was pointing towards the fact that if you see them eating on shrubs like this and bending their necks more, then likely they're females, and then the males are the ones that are going to feed on the trees. But nothing really with conclusive proof of anything, because giraffes will kind of do whatever they want. So, to be honest, I have seen more females than males bending their necks to eat from lower shrubs rather than stretching it out and going up to the higher branches that they can still reach. But I've also seen a fair amount of males doing the same thing. But there seems to be a lot of push for giraffe research in the last sort of year. I think everyone got a little bit scared when the Giraffe Conservation Fund actually highlighted how threatened giraffes across Africa are. And we tend not to worry about them too much because they're beautiful, they're tall, and they appear quite common. But it seems like their population numbers are also declining, or have also been declining in the last couple of years. So It's quite interesting to see. The latest one that I was reading about also, it's people just heading into doing research about them, is about the social structure of giraffes, which I thought was quite interesting because for many years, giraffes have been defined to have loose associations with other giraffes. So the females might hang around more with other females than the youngsters, and the males more nomadic, do their own thing, come into contact with other males, they might hang around them. But just as they get together, then it's believed that they just go their own separate ways. But there's an ongoing study now that points to the fact that perhaps their social dynamics are way more complicated and more interesting than what we think. It's not that they bump into one another and that's it, but actually that there is a bond and an association between females that are of the same line, and then they share information that way, almost similar to a way that elephants do. But again, this study or the results of the study haven't been published. It's what they're going to study because it's what they suspect is happening, and it'll be interesting to see what their results yield as to, are they really that sociable, or are they really just loose aggregators, I'm going to call them. You see, as the giraffe is walking, she'll walk straight in front of us, but you can see a few birds, a few drungos that have been going down. Yep, there we go. Just trying to catch whatever it is that the giraffe disturbs as it walks across. And then, of course, a couple of oxpeckers just enjoying the ride. And off you go behind the trees. Okay, I think we're going to go forward. See if we can get another view of the giraffe without losing any signal.
I think sometimes you need just to listen. So it's a kind of taking out all that other spirit and bring back wilderness and healthy bushwalk and trek and sign. I'm sure I'm good at that. I spend most of my time on the ground since I was a young boy, so I think I'm good with that. Actually, I'm not much nervous of any category. Just take it as it is. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on what the judges are looking at. So chances are 50-50 on my side. I'm not... Obviously, when you go for a competition, you say you win.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go.
Well, we've got another giraffe, and although it's still a very tall animal and a tall creature, potentially taller than me, it is a baby giraffe. It's actually a little one. It's a calf, which is quite exciting. The mom's just crossed the road in front of us, and it wasn't the one that we were looking at earlier. But it seems to be associating with the other female that we saw, which is very nice. Sorry, I'm just trying to hear what the radio is trying to say, but there's a lot of static coming through, so I can't really copy much of it. I see the little giraffe is also looking in that direction. Obviously, it's seen the vehicle, and well, I really suspect that we're not the first set of humans or cars that the giraffe has seen, because it's pretty chilled. I mean, we arrived here and then it just moved, and then the mom carried on feeding just normally and then just moved across. So I'm kind of hoping that it'll go back to the mother so we can see the size difference between the two. Normally when giraffes are born, they're about 1.7 meters, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is a 5.6 feet or something. Probably smaller than that. My feet ideas are very wrong, so it's very hard to tell. Oh, got it right. Still very agile. It's going to need all that agility to try and step away from any potential predators that there might come around, because unfortunately little giraffes like this one are still targeted by, well, even the big ones are targeted by lions. So if the lions, perhaps the nkuhumas that have been hanging around this area, come here, then they'll be able to just kind of bring it down, which we don't want because they're very pretty. Morning. Good, thanks. Sorry, just a car passing by. I'm sure they also want to have a look at the giraffe, but sadly she's gone into the thicket over there. But if I go a little bit forward, we'll be able to perhaps see the mom. Okay, there's a lot of vehicles here now. And there's the mother feeding on what appears to be a buffalo thorn. Seems like Cedric is enjoying the birding, or the birding is enjoying Cedric. I'm not too sure what I was going for next. We're going to leave those giraffes and then hopefully start making our way home because we're a little bit far away. But let's head over to him and see what special bird he can find.
Yeah, welcome back to us. So there's a battler flying very far from us. And as we know, Darren really enjoys following flying birds, and he's very good at it. For what I saw, it was a male battler. Like most of the animals today, it's going beyond the bush. So why we wanted to start with that battler is because I did have the chance earlier to show you the greater honey guide. So maybe we said let's do a little segment. I know it is a bit bright, I apologize. So that would be the greater honey guide here. So we saw one on a tree exactly like that, and when I saw the pinkish beak and the little white cheek there, this is where my first intuition came for a honey guide. But I can't confirm, but I'm pretty sure it was a greater honey guide. But it was so quick, it's always a bit difficult. It was a female. Is it? Because me I saw also the this one with the pink, yeah. So that's a female. Oh, okay. No, that's a male, I'm sorry. Getting confused this morning. No, that's a male and the female is there. But me I saw one with the pinkish beak and the white cheek there. But anyway, it was very quick. They are beautiful birds. They have a very nice call as well. But yeah, so that's was for us there. I check also for the pied kingfisher. So I was right, they normally don't migrate. It can happen that some of them leave an area, but generally they stay in the same area. So we're back on Rebecca's Road where we saw the buffaloes this morning. So we're trying to relocate them now. Hopefully we might be lucky. Yeah, so me when I left them, they were moving into the block there, but apparently they have been seen around the road again. So we're keeping an eye open. It's amazing how we can disappear quite quickly, even being such a big animals. But where we're going to get there, it's get quite nice and open, a bit elevated, so we will be able to watch in the block. And I found them in the distance. Exactly what I was saying now. When you get a bit of elevation, let me go forward. We'll better look forward. But they are in that block there, lying in the block. It's amazing, you see like black spots everywhere. I'm just trying to find the best, maybe that can work. No, they didn't move too far. If I'm not mistaken, just behind where they are is filament cut line. So it might be good to go there maybe this afternoon. Okay, so we're going to try to make our way to the buffalo, get a better visual, but we will, in the meantime, show you a beautiful clip of the next expedition in the Masai Mara.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We just found the remains of a warthog, and this is from a male that we have over here, as the tusks is much larger than that of the female. We're not quite sure what killed him. We did look around to see if we could find any other remains. However, quite often when animals do get killed, the rest of the remains get scattered very quickly by a species such as jackal as well as a hyena. We suspect that it could possibly be leopard that might have killed it, or possibly even a lone lioness such as Lagafur that could have taken this warthog. We're just going to turn it around and we can quickly have a look at what we can see in the underparts of it. Right over here, we've got the molar teeth, which is responsible for grinding down all the food particles. And when it comes to the tusks over here, I'm just going to turn it again, so that you can see it over here. We can see that it normally forms a flat section over here, where the lower part of a tusk actually rubs over. And it's those lower parts of a tusk that are incredibly sharp and gets used against predators. Like a razor blade, so it can cut open a predator very easily. That's also the reason when we teach guides when to walk and how to walk, that they don't approach a warthog burrow straight ahead, but always to do so from an angle, just in case that warthog is around. Warthogs generally will go and run straight towards a burrow if they are under threat. But with an ambush predator like a leopard, this guy probably didn't even see it coming. We also generally see if lion as well as wild dogs and other predators chase them, they'll run back for that burrow system, make a 180-degree turn and sit with the tusks to the outside. Sometimes they come rushing out there with their head moving from side to side to try and cut whatever gets in their way. However, staying put doesn't always mean that you're going to stay safe. And quite often I have watched both wild dog as well as lions digging warthogs out of their burrows and then killing them.
So we left buffaloes just to go check around. If they reach Philemon Cutline, it would be a much better visual. But I'm not sure. For what I could see while driving now, they were quite still in the valley. But we're going to check and see if they went up the road. We're very close, so we will be there quite soon. And I would love to find that big bull that we saw this morning again. But there's a bird flying there while I'm talking to you. Oh, I just went down. Oh, yeah, it's flying that side. Let me just wait here a little bit. There it goes. To get it. Yeah, it's 4 birds of prey flying very low and it went into that tree there. Do you want me maybe to go? I'm not seeing what. Oh, there it is. Oh, this is very far. I can't really see it with my own eyes. So I'm not really sure where it is. Sometimes when you look on the monitor and to try to figure it out where the animal is, it gets a bit difficult. Yeah, so sometimes when we drive and we see something interesting, we try to stop and show it to you. It's not always the easiest thing to do. Look at that, 3 birds flying there. Your butler. Look like a tawny eagle. Yeah. Might be a vulture as well. So there's 3 birds that just flew on top of us. I did identify a battler, 1 white-back vulture, and the 3rd one I didn't have time to. It is quite far, so I think the one we're watching now is the vulture. I'm not 100% sure. So what we did now, we drove through his road. We're going to go check Philemon Cutline if the buffaloes came close to it. I can't even see it with my own eyes anymore. I think this one we're watching, there's 2 actually now. Must be some vultures. It was followed by a battler though. But I can't see the battler anymore. Very nice. like, obviously they're turning like that to get the thermal to go up. JP, you think these birds are turning when they're on flats? Yes, this is where they are the most comfortable. Just flying and soaring or gliding. Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we will go check Philemon Cut Line if there's any buffalo. If we can't see the buffalo from there, in the meantime we'll send you to JP, who's on a bushwalk.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. We just located on a rock monitor, and the reason why I'm laughing is free-grown men has just jumped almost 1 meter off the ground, including a cameraman that probably did a good few meters as well. We almost stepped on this rock monitor that was hiding in the grass, and the next moment he scattered out from underneath our feet and started hissing at us. It took us a few seconds to figure out what it was. At first we thought it was an incredibly large snake, but when we saw it running, we noticed that it was a rock monitor. This is one of the 2 monitor species that we have in southern Africa, and they're probably some of the largest reptiles that we have out here in terms of size of lizards, and some of them come close to 2 meters in size. For those of you that haven't joined us before, some of the easy ways to separate a rock monitor from the water monitor, which is also known as a null monitor, is by the head shape. If you see, this guy's got much more of a U-shaped or head compared to that of a water monitor that's got a V-shaped head. Also, if we look at the tail tends to be much more rounded, unlike that of a water monitor that has got a flat tail, which is designed to propel itself through water. These guys have all got incredibly strong claws, and they often will tear open bark to feed off on insects and things behind it. They also go for eggs, as well as nestling birds that they will often feed on. We've often even seen them where they've dug for scorpions and consumed these as well. They tend to seem to be immune against the venom of these scorpions when they do ingest them. I don't want to stay too long with him because he's at the moment hissing at us, which is actually an intimidation sign, which tells us that he is agitated with our presence. Maybe it's best that we leave him in peace and quiet and give him the necessary respect and space which he deserves.
RSA has a long history, over 90 years, of being involved and even pioneering aspects of the conservation sector in South Africa. Over that long history, we have realized that all of the issues that we are facing both locally and globally are due to human impact. Therefore, we need to concentrate on working with people, and that is what WESA does. What makes me passionate about the work that we do at WESA, and in particular the work that I engage in, is actually connecting with people. Currently the work that I'm working on is working with youth in a skills development program, and just to meet the youth and to hear their stories and to bring them opportunities that we hope will have some impact on their lives really fuels me to get up every morning. A huge shout out to the women that I work with, as well as to all the women that are contributing hugely within the environmental sector, both in South Africa and in the world.
And I turned to Shaun and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened, or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these 2 cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Shaun probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
It seems like it's a Sunday stroll for mothers and their offsprings. We came across this female warthog that is now just gone behind the trees, behind the quarries, and the little one with a very funny looking mohawk with his little crest. He actually looks like a bit of a gangster. But, okay. They were, of course, posing beautifully, and now they've decided they're not interested anymore, and they walked away from us, so we're going to leave them because we can't really see them anymore. So I suspect they're on their way to some water or some shade. It's the last sort of mornings it has gotten very warm very quickly. Even though it was all misty and beautiful this morning and we thought we were going to freeze, that did not happen. Now it's quite nice and hot. So we're slowly making our way back to camp, just scanning around this area to find any tracks of any male leopards. Funny enough, I don't, or well, maybe Kara, I suppose, would be the only one that this area. But I think Kara was also seen yesterday far north into Buffelshoek. So it seems like that's the area where she's where she's hanging out now. We're gonna slowly make our way back to camp, look for any tracks or any other things, but we'll send you guys across to Cedric in the meantime.
So I did check the whole filament cut line. Unfortunately, these buffaloes are still too much inside the block there. So it was nice to see them from far, but no luck to see them closer again this morning. But we will definitely try this afternoon again. Sorry about that. So we just passed that little area where we saw the grey-headed bushshrike earlier. It's very nice for birds here. Also I can hear a squirrel alarm calling, but it doesn't mean it's a predator. It can be a snake or a bird of prey. Maybe let's stop with those impalas there and also look for some birds around. So we have a bachelor herd of impalas. I can see only 4 of them at the moment, but there's maybe a few more further ahead. Sometimes what I like to do is, when we stop like that also, it's look in the binoculars on all the trees. You know, even if it's in the distance, you never know what you can find on the trees. The best, obviously, and what we opt for, it's a leopard lying on the tree in the distance, but it happened very rarely. I have a story, actually. We were staying in the Kruger National Park, and so the guide stopped to look at some tracks, and I took my binos, and there was a drainage line about, I would say, 500 meters from us, and there was a big jackalberry tree, and I took my binoculars and I was looking in that area, and I spotted that big male leopard lying on a branch, but from very, very far, about 500 meters. So I couldn't even make sure that it was a leopard, even in the binoculars. So I took my camera and I zoomed, and we could see it was that big male leopard lying on that branch. So that was very lucky. It was a great find, and I think it's that is the furthest that I've spotted a leopard, and I think it will always be the furthest that I will spot a leopard. So since then, every time we stop, I like to take my binoculars and look in the trees around if there's anything lying in the trees. Okay, so these impalas moved off. They're just going actually towards the little drainage line, might be a bit cooler there. You can see the bush is very dry. There's still some trees which is green though. And it was very nice yesterday to see the new leaves on the knobthorn. That means the bush is starting to change and the colors are going to be a little bit more green. Obviously you have some trees that stays the same all year round, like the magic guari stays always green. No, Impala herds will not get as big as buffalo herds. Sorry, I think I lost my completely now. So Darren is going to guide me a bit. No, they will not get as big. Buffalo herds can get like up to 1,000. Impalas you can get 50, sometimes a bit more, but around 50 individual. Can be less as well. Not sure if I just hope I will get the comms again. Yeah, we're just sitting here and listening. We're not too far from quarantine, so I think our plan this afternoon is when we get out, check if the buffaloes are still there. They will probably still lying there as it is quite hot. And then so when we check if they're still there, it should be still there, the buffaloes, because it is very warm. And then we maybe scratch around. Would love to see some cats though, but also I would like to do some birding again, but mainly some bird of prey. So this afternoon will be my last drive for this week. So I'm really hoping for great sightings. Looked like most of the animals enjoyed walking away from us today, like those impalas now. And the buffaloes, especially this big bull buffalo that I wanted to show you every time he was trying to turn his back on us. But I will try again to find him this afternoon and show it to you. At least you got a nice sense of it when we saw it from the back. As you can see, it's starting to get a bit windy, so it will cool down the weather. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. I hope you enjoy the drive. Also, thank you for your question. Always nice to receive your question and try to answer them the best we could. I really hope you're going to join us this afternoon. We hope and maybe some great action. See you this afternoon. Goodbye.